Hello, this is Benjamin Yoder, here today to talk to you about Valkyria Chronicles 4. You might be saying, whoa, quick play stream, you usually do that when you actually stream. This isn't a stream, this is me doing it later. I did a Valkyria Chronicles 4 quick play stream and was unhappy with it, so we're going to try doing something a little different. Just going to record this separate from a stream, so there's no video of me. I apologize. Yeah, Valkyria Chronicles 4. This is a pretty cool game. I like the Valkyria Chronicles series quite a bit. I've played the first one, the second one, and Revolution. And unlike most people, I like Revolution as well. But what I really like about Valkyria Chronicles 4 so far is that it has, well, it looks like your standard Valkyria Chronicles game. It definitely has its own like distinct feel and style to it. Or maybe not style, but like there's a lot interesting about this game structurally that I want to talk about. But let me see, what's a good one to show? I'm trying to recall which one I wanted to do. I believe it might be Under the Ice too. Yeah. So so if you're not familiar with the series, basically this is like similar like a semi real-time strategy RPG, but it has like it's more turn-based than anything, because each player, or each, your side takes a turn, then the enemy side takes a turn, and then basically you move around in real time as you move your actual units. So you have your group of units here. They all have like individual classes. So these are like the scouts that can move around a bunch. Machine gun people, I've heard they're called shock troopers, that are just like good close range people. You have your lancer, which is like shoots explosives to blow up tanks. Engineers that can repair tanks. Snipers who can snipe. And then in this game they added a new class called grenadier, which is essentially like a mortar class, which we'll see. It's an interesting class that they added, because basically they have a lot more, I don't know if reach is the right word, but they can shoot over objects and things like that in a way that the other classes need to, like, they need to be able to get around walls and stuff to shoot at them. Although the scouts do have like a rocket propelled grenade they can shoot. This mission in particular, we're gonna need a lot of snipers, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring that. But basically, yeah, basically just deploy your snipers, or your team as you would in any other game. You can assign random characters to be leaders as well, which is kind of nice, because typically you'd have to specifically have like the story characters all are by default leaders, but you can set at least one of the side characters to be leaders. But they have to like meet some certain requirements, so I just threw it on Vancy because she just happened to be available to do that. When you are selecting characters, though, you do want to keep in mind like each character has like a relationship meter with you, but I'll go into that a bit later.
Keep the enemy busy,
so yeah, visually this looks pretty good. I forgot to turn my audio on here real quick, so I can go ahead and do that.
Just like Forsetti said. That clover's
So basically, if you ever played a Valkyria Chronicles game before, this looks pretty familiar. You essentially have your command points on the top of the screen. You have a map here. You can select your individual units, and then you can also see the enemy units around the map. And what's a little different about this mission is that there's actually kind of a little objective here that we need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and select my sniper. And we have this, I know it's kind of hard to see, and I don't want to move too much, because basically when you move in this game, like, everything's in real time right now, except for everybody's just kind of standing still. But they're still active. So if I run in front of like an enemy, like, shock trooper, he'll still shoot me with his like, machine gun. But nobody else is moving in his turn other than this character. And I already messed up, but because I forgot there's actually a barrier over here that I'm not going to leave the sniper around. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a shot here real quick. We have like cover we can use. Certain classes, like the Lancers who can shoot rockets, and the snipers in the bottom right hand corner have like limited ammo. That can be recovered by like the engineers. So I actually am going to move her up real quick, because I want to use her full AP, which is like the movement points at the bottom of the screen. And if I don't
target confirmed.
If I don't go ahead and use it now, then chances are when I come back to her the second turn, I'm not going to be able to get her up there. Because you actually, if you use a character multiple times in a single turn, you basically lose like if you can see in the bottom right corner, she only starts with like a 2/3 of her AP, and it continues to decrease depending on how many times you use a character. I move my tank up here to kind of like blockade this a little bit, because there's a couple of bosses on this mission.
Right there.
At the edge of the map. We'll see a little bit of them. We probably won't finish this mission, because the missions of this game are actually pretty long. I'd say, you know, typically expect to do anywhere between like,
Moving out.
I'd say at least 30 minutes for a mission. I mean, I'm sure you can do it faster.
Enemy sighted.
Um,
Enemy sighted. Target confirmed.
So I actually know the sniper's here, so I need to kill him real quick.
There.
Okay, he's gone. And so this is a neat thing that I wanna talk about quite a bit, because I actually think it matters a lot in this game. So I feel like in a lot of Valkyria Chronicles games, and I can't remember the first game very well, typically the objectives are, hey, go capture these bases, or hey, clear the entire area, or survive a certain number of turns. And that's definitely the case here. Like we're definitely gonna go capture some of these bases and stuff. But a lot of missions have a gimmick to them. So in this case, we have our ship stuck in the ice down there, and we gotta defend it. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it's down there. Trust me, it's down there. And so there's these bombs that are coming down from the sky that are gonna hit the ship. So I need to blow them up on this turn. So I have to use my snipers to sit here and shoot the bombs. And in addition to those bombs, there's also like soldiers that are shooting in. Those are less interesting, other than like you could kind of like kill enemies that are about to pre-spawn in. And so yeah, so that's kind of the crux of this mission, is that you have to keep snipers A, alive, and B, you know, stocked up enough to make sure they can shoot the bombs, and then also be able to have them alive, because basically you have these two boss characters that are going to start roaming around, and if they go to fight your sniper, then your sniper's probably going to die. There are some soldiers back up here, so I'm actually going to let me see, how do I want to handle this? I'm actually going to send a scout back here real quick, because I want to be able to pull this scout back up here. So this is actually a shock trooper, but because I can get to the side, I can do a side attack here and not get shot. If I don't kill him, like I just did, he will shoot back though. So I may get messed up here. Yeah, I got pretty messed up. So that kind of was a bad turn. Like, you know, because of the nature of this game, there's very like RPG elements here with like stats and stuff. And so one thing you can kind of do is be like, hey, I don't even want to risk it. I'm just going to shoot a grenade. Each character, or each of the like these infantry soldiers, get like 1 grenade per turn. So if I wanted to go use a grenade somewhere else, you know, obviously I don't have it anymore. So the reason why I did that though with this character instead is because I wanted to be able to bring him back. I was hoping to do that in 1 turn, but that didn't happen. So I'm just gonna sit him here for now and try to shoot anyone who starts coming up here. Because there's a scout that's gonna be down there. You always want to kind of like defend your home base, because usually if your home base gets captured, that's kind of a bad turn of events. One feature I really like in this game, and I don't know if this showed up in Valkyria Chronicles 3, but I'm pretty sure it's not in 2 or 1, is the command feature. So anyone who's a leader, and this is as far as I know, a new feature, is anyone who's a leader can basically grab 2 people and bring them with them. So you can say, hey, team up, and we're going to move as a group now. And they actually, if in the case of this, I have 2 snipers, so they're not going, and if they get stuck, that's fine, they just teleport up. And this, if you have like a group of like scouts or characters that are more active, I guess like shorter range characters, they will typically participate in the attack. I believe the snipers don't do that because they have like a limited amount of ammo. So it's just going to be the scout shooting up here, but we had good intentions. All right. Go ahead. We're going to kill this dude. Oh, they did support it. So the 2 snipers did shoot. That may be something that only happens after you level them up. The snipers actually are kind of interesting in this game because unlike previous games, they kind of take a more active role on the battlefield. So basically in the past games, the sniper would, you know, you could use them to easily shoot people from afar and kill them pretty quickly, but otherwise they're kind of just sitting ducks. In this game, once you level them up enough, they will actually have defensive capability, so if they see anyone running across them, they'll take shots at them. Typically, if you're here at this point of the game, they actually wouldn't be doing that, because it's just too early for them, but we're going back like 6 chapters or something like that. So I don't think there's any more bombs in the sky right now, so I'm not too concerned about getting the snipers there on this turn. So one thing I do want to show you is the Grenadier class. Grenadier classes are really interesting for both defensive and offensive reasons. They don't have any like short range attacks, but they can be like planted down in a direction, and you can basically just launch grenades way up in the sky. So we can get that trooper elite, we can knock that guy out of cover, or we can just instantly kill some characters like this scout. I'm gonna just kill this scout. I don't like him being there. And he's dead. These guys are, the enemies have these guys too, so they're incredibly deadly to be attacked by. And they're pretty deadly on defensive turns too. So like if I want to, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of prop him up. Yeah, there's a guy right up over there, and I don't really want him coming. Oh no, he's over there. I'm still kind of vulnerable, but I might go ahead and kill that guy real quick if I can. So basically, can just prop this guy back here, and if anyone starts approaching down this path here, he's just gonna launch grenades at them, and it's pretty powerful. I mean, it usually doesn't kill. It doesn't have a lot of accuracy when it's on like more of a defensive turn, which is kind of the downside of it. I'm gonna bring Raz up there to take care of the shock trooper. But it's you know, it's more of a defensive capability, and it can do things like reduce a character's like movement, so it can just basically reduce them so they can't move anymore on the turn. And then like Valkyria Chronicles 2 at least, you also have like secondary weapons that you eventually get for classes. So the shock troopers who have a machine gun. You know, in the case of like this guy, he's hunkered behind cover, so it would take me 2 turns to kill this dude. But since I have a flamethrower, it'll just be 1 turn basically, because this is like specializes at killing people in cover. It also is like a spread, so I can use that to like attack multiple enemies at once. And there's an enemy shooting grenades at me and blew this cover up, which is unfortunate. I didn't take much damage because I am a lot higher level than I probably should be. So I'm actually just gonna back Raz off since I lost that cover. And we'll just stay here. I'll kind of prop him here, facing towards this tank. So if anyone comes from the sides, he'll open fire on him. You can also conserve your AP between turn, or your command points between turns. So if I ended my turn now, I would keep that 1 command point if it's like strategically doesn't make sense for me to make any moves this turn. I think I am gonna make a move though. I'm gonna try to either kill this guy or kill that guy in the air. Worst case scenario, I'll just shoot the guy who's in cover back down there. And I wouldn't mind getting one of these snipers at least in cover anyway. So I can shoot this guy in the air. Let me see if I can get this. The sniper might be too high up. So I'm just gonna prop him right here, I think, for now, and then go up into the sky and shoot. There's no damage value, so I can't remember for this mission. Maybe if it's just if you hit them, they'll die no matter what. Or I'm just too far. Is probably what happened. So rest in peace. And then, so that's the end of our turn. So then the enemy phase goes, and everything starts a moving. And so like where you set up your defensive stuff is really important. I'm curious to see how effective the snipers will be on this turn, because there's a lot of like very long, narrow pathways here where the snipers probably can take aim at things. And before when I was here, I didn't have like the defensive thing. So there's the grenades. You know, blew up their cover. He's gonna shoot.
We can keep going.
And one of the kind of nice thing about the grenades is that even if they're inaccurate, they can still hit other people on the map at the same time. So that dude just took some damage. So sometimes you can, like, you know, if you can find like a solid wall where nobody can really get past, you can just line a bunch of grenadiers against it and just bombard everybody, basically.
We're fine. Minimal damage.
These girls actually do a lot of damage to tanks, but I mean they're bosses, so. So I don't know if I have an engineer on the map. I might have to get one to pull them up here and try to do some defensive stuff. So yeah, and so there's like different missions where like instead of oh no, he's going around the other way. Instead of like there's like a mission where you have like a sniper, and instead of finishing the mission, or like killing people to finish the mission, you basically have to go shoot these little like tiles that are on like this board to like send some, I guess, I don't know, you'd call it like a code to somebody to have them like bomb the area. Which, you know, it's all little kind of gimmicks like that. It's never anything that's like super substantial, but pretty much every other mission, if not every mission, has some sort of unique hook to it, and it's always built into the story. It's always built into the story, which I feel like is something that at least Valkyria Chronicles 2 didn't do super well, where, you know, it was a lot of just like, hey, kill everything kind of missions, rather than actual I need an engineer. I'm actually might get a grenadier here real quick. So you can bring more people in. Even though I could only deploy 8 at the start, I can bring 2 more people in. So I'm gonna bring an engineer in, and I'm also gonna bring in my other grenadier real quick. And then, so, you know, the first things first, I want to blow up these bombs. So there's actually, I think, 2 bombs right now. Yeah, so there's 2 bombs in the sky. So Kai, I think, only has 1 bullet, unfortunately. Although she might have done like an ammo recovery. She did. But I think I might go ahead and just take this sniper out, maybe? No. Okay. There we go. Parabomb. And I go for it. If you're not familiar with Valkyria Chronicles, everybody has like different stat boosts and stuff, and then also like debuffs as well that are triggered by individual things. Sometimes it's as simple as like with Kai, she gets a chance to get ammo back when she takes a shot. I think that might be a class specific special. But then there's other cases like, you know, there's like characters who don't particularly like men or something, and so they'll I'm gonna take this lady up. I should have done a command thing, but it's too late. But there's characters who don't like men, so if you put them beside men in battle, they will perform less effectively. But then there's other characters who do get along, so if you put them beside each other in battle, they perform more effectively. So there's a lot of stuff like that. Oh boy. There's a lot of stuff like that. Is this the only way up? Which, that would be unfortunate if that's the case. There's nothing over here, right? No. Okay. So you can kind of do some interesting stuff here, like he's gonna shoot a bunch right there, but actually I don't have another move right now, so I'm gonna have to just stop my turn anyways. So I'm gonna have to waste my turn here to do this twice, unfortunately. Oh wow, he's shooting through that. Usually most cover is pretty solid actually, so I'm surprised that that didn't do so well. Usually a scout would be torn up by a shock trooper, but again, I'm like 5 chapters ahead of whatever this is. I'll take her up. Scouts have a lot of movement, so it's easy to kind of like figure out what you want to do, and yeah, I definitely want to take her up here because there's another dude up here. So I can just sit her there for now. She's not really gonna be able to fend off the shock trooper, but that's okay. In addition to so this, if you're unfamiliar with Valkyria Chronicles, I keep saying that over and over again. If you're unfamiliar with Valkyria Chronicles, there's like these things called orders, and I'll go ahead and see if I can take a look at one real quick and find something that might be useful to us. Ah, he dodged. What a jerk. So let me see if we have something we can use now. But basically, there's the orders, so I can like give a character an evasion boost. I can increase their attack power. I can increase their attack power against tanks. I can tell them to like, hey, you know, just basically a bunch of like stat boosts, raise morale, things like that. Also, like if you're concerned with like people dying, you can evacuate them when they're on the ground and things like that. But there's also these things called ship orders, which unfortunately I just realized is not available on this mission because our ship is out of commission. But there's like bombardments and things like that you can do, and like radars you can place down to kind of like keep track of like where enemies are if they aren't currently on the map for you to see. But we need to shoot this thing down, so we're gonna go blow up this parabomb because that's the #1 important thing in this mission.
Target eliminated. Keep up the good
And
work.
then also I kind of want to get her behind cover real quick. So there's definitely, you get a grade ranking at the end of these missions. So there's definitely like more effective ways to play through these levels. I will be abandoning this base, which might be a bad idea because somebody might come back and recapture it. But I have snipers up here, so, and a scout over here, so I'm not too concerned if it gets captured because I'm able to get through it pretty quick, I think. My biggest concern right now is I haven't really done anything to those bosses over there, and I probably need to start doing some damage there. They actually can't be fully killed on this map. There we go. This map in particular, they'll always come back, so it's more of just trying to like push them off because they're pretty deadly enemies in this map. I'm actually gonna point him this way, although he's not gonna be able to see anyone. So actually, let's just keep him pointing that way, just in case that sniper comes around and tries to shoot us. You'll inevitably have more defense if you're like facing somebody when you're shooting at them. I'm actually going to take the tank and see if I can mortar them real quick. Yeah. See how that goes.
Right there.
I like using explosive on enemies that have higher evasion. Unlike Valkyria Chronicles 2, though, tanks only take 1 command point to use, so it's actually like incredibly broken at times. It feels like, where you're just like, I'm just gonna spam my tank a bunch actually. So, although this mission might be over. Those girls actually are incredibly deadly towards tanks if they hit them in the radiator. So all tanks have like a blue spot on the back where they basically die instantly if any kind of explosive hits them. And those crossbows are considered to be maybe not explosives, but they are considered to be very deadly weapons. But it looks like she's gonna go kill my sniper, is what she's planning on doing. Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. Went great, is how it went.
It can't end here.
So in this case, Inspire, I guess? I forget which, it's been a long time since this happened. I forget. I'm trying to recall, is that, oh man, it's been so long since that mechanic happened for me, because I don't really have characters die very often. But I think you can, yeah, so increase the morale of like the nearest character, I think is what it was. Or I could have her take 1 more shot before she dies, is maybe what it was. Again, been a very long time since I've had that mechanic come into play. I've been playing this game off and on since it's basically came out, so it's been months, which is pretty typical for me in JRPGs. We are getting pretty close to 30 minutes here, though, so I think we're going to back out of this mission. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to show you before I just kind of break down some of the menu stuff. But, you know, I think what's important in the actual core gameplay that's happening here is I think there are some interesting changes. Like the map design is actually a lot larger. Again, if you're not familiar, Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3 are PSP games, so the maps are a lot smaller, and it has a really different flow to it. I can't remember how big the maps are in Valkyria Chronicles 1. It's been a very long time since I played Valkyria Chronicles 1. I really should go back and look at it someday, and just kind of take a look at it and compare it. But the maps are pretty big in this level, and they do a really good job of utilizing the space, I think, with you know, they made the snipers a lot more versatile. The Grenadier class really has a good range to them, and it really lets you kind of like prop up the Grenadiers in places where they'd be really effective. And then that command ability where you can kind of move characters across the map quickly with certain classes, especially the scout leaders in particular. That's really effective at like moving people around the map in a way. It's not as generous with being able to move people around from base to base. So like you see, I called those people in last turn to come, and they didn't come until this turn, versus like the Valkyria Chronicles 2 where they would come immediately. So you could kind of pull people in and out of battle a lot faster in those PSP games, or in this one it's a lot more of a pre-planning kind of situation. And like I said with that order earlier, I can do that, and we're gonna evacuate this lady, Kai,
Buddy, here are your orders.
and
We've got wounded. Send the
basically
medic,
does
quick.
that. Medic comes running in. Let's see if we get a puppy. Sometimes the medic has a puppy with her. No puppy. What a sad day. So yeah, I think that's probably it for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and back out. Get the bad. Oh no, I messed up. We're actually going to back out because you can't quit out during a enemy's turn, unfortunately. So we gotta start the game back up. My apologies. I did the wrong thing. I ended my turn rather than quit the mission. So let's go back in here, which it's fine. I need to get to the book mode anyways. So although you can back out to the book mode, don't worry about it. So I think one thing to really kind of talk about here is the story of Valkyria Chronicles 4, and I'm not going to really talk about like the specifics of it. Basically what it is you're a squad who is kind of a part of an operation where it's like the last hope for this country, and then and you're a part of like a larger battalion, but eventually you kind of get split off on your own. So you're basically you're your own squad here, and you have to like go through. So like Valkyria Chronicles 1, it has a very strong central story with a lot of these characters. So like Kai we saw earlier, and the dude that's in the tank with like the weird haircut thing, I don't know what you call it. These are like central characters that kind of show up, and they're definitely the core of the plot, which if you've ever played the original Valkyria Chronicles will be familiar. Valkyria Chronicles 2 in particular did a really big focus on more of these like side characters in the game. So one thing this game has is it also has these side stories. So basically what you have to do in Valkyria Chronicles 2 is you have to grind relationship with these like lesser important characters, and then you'd get story surrounding them. And usually it was like maybe like 3 to 4 missions long in Valkyria Chronicles 2. It required a lot of grinding for individual characters. So what this game does actually is pairs everybody in groups of 3. So if you see on the left side of this page, there's 3 characters here that have a plot all regarding each other, and they all build relationship together. So if you only have one of these people in a team, they still all build a relationship for this one quest line. So that can run into some issues where like, hey, like, let me see which one it was. Is it the price of skill? Is that what it is? Yeah, the price of skill. Like I had the top guy with the bald head and the bottom lady in my party for a while. And so like I kind of got like a attachment to them, but this dude in the center here, I did not get him for a good while, and then when he did finally show up, the bald dude and the girl had maxed out this whole relationship tree here already. So basically I immediately got this storyline and never put this center guy in my party ever, because I don't need a grind relationship for him at all. So why would I even bother switching him in? Unfortunately is what ended up happening. And then also I think the story just feels kind of maybe not as filled out for some of these side characters, maybe because it's like a group of 3 thing, but it's also, I think, because these stories happen in pockets. So as soon as you unlock this story group here, you can play through this whole thing. It's usually like 3 to 5 cutscenes plus a mission. But you know, that's kind of it. Where in Valkyria Chronicles 2, you'd have like a steady progression. You do multiple missions, and yes, the missions weren't super related to what those characters were doing per se. It just kind of created this path where you kind of built up over time. You probably didn't get that many more cutscenes, but just the build up over the entire game kind of made it feel a bit more substantial. But what I think this game does really cool, I'm gonna go ahead and bounce into this mission real quick. We're not gonna play it really, unfortunately. Is that what these missions do is offer some pretty interesting scenarios. Let me just deploy. So in this case, it's all like there's 3 members here. I can't change the party or anything like that. And basically, this mission only has 3 snipers, and because snipers have limited ammo, And, you know, earlier, I did this mission earlier in the game where I wouldn't have had, like, you know, those ammo recovery techniques. And, like, I didn't have any of the defensive skills. Like, the snipers couldn't shoot back at people. They could only shoot aggressively. And then otherwise, they're just sitting ducks. This mission became incredibly difficult because it's like, or not maybe incredibly difficult, but I had to be smart about how I use my ammo and who I'm shooting. So, you know, you want to blow up the tank first and foremost, because why would you want a tank on the battlefield? Except for I messed up. So that would have been a case of just like, wow, I already blew a shot. And I'm not going to get any further in this mission probably, because I really needed that ammo to make sure this guy didn't die. I think I probably could finish the mission this time around because I have the defensive shots, because as soon as anyone tries to approach him, this dude's just going to start shooting back at them, where that wasn't happening before. So yeah, it has a lot of interesting setups like that, where it's just like, hey, we're going to put you in a kind of a weird party situation that doesn't have a lot of, you know, doesn't have a lot of like rounded party mechanics going on. One other thing I think that's neat, I was talking earlier about like there being kind of gimmicks with each map. So on that map I showed you, it's kind of like these bombs that are falling down and hitting the ship. And so I just wanted to like kind of talk through a couple more of these real quick that I thought were some of the more interesting ones so far. I haven't beaten the game again. I'm probably about like 3 or 4 chapters from the end. But we have, let me see, which one was it? The Sea Fortress was an interesting one. There wasn't a lot going on here. It's just like a very foggy map overall. Basically, you had a ship. Your ship is like going across the water, and there's these 2 cannons that have a chance to shoot it and blow it up. So you have to go blow up the cannons before the ship gets to that point where they can be shot. But because it's like kind of turmoil in the wind and stuff, you do like a deployment thing here, where it's like, hey, do your setup and everything, you know, put your people down, and they give you like the formation and everything. But once you actually start the mission, they all get blown away by the wind, and so they're all scattered around on the map. So even though you sat there and made your formation, it doesn't even matter that you did it. It's just you're like, well, now I got to work with what I got here. And so obviously, if you sat there and played the mission again, I'm sure you could probably figure out which slot corresponds to where they end up on the map, unless it's literally random, which I have a feeling it's probably not. It's probably just like, hey, if somebody's here, they get put here kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull a cutscene up here real quick, just because I think it's just to kind of give you like a look at the game. A lot of the times it's just like talking heads and stuff. I'd say the majority of the story is just like talking heads and stuff. But aesthetically, I think the game still looks pretty good. As far as I understand, I think this is just running off like a version of the Valkyria Chronicles 3 or Valkyria Chronicles 1 engine that was ported to PS4. I think that's what's happening here, but I can't remember for sure if I actually read that somewhere or not. And you know, it's aesthetically pretty close to those games, but I think they have an aesthetic that ages pretty well. So I think there's always the concern that, you know, if you have an aesthetic like this that works well on different types of hardware pretty easily, you know, it might not look like it's upgrading over time as much, but at least compared to like the PSP games, you know, this is a huge improvement. And then Valkyria Revolution, I think aesthetically has some problems. As much as I like Valkyria Revolution, this game just looks more aesthetically consistent. The character designs just look pretty good for the most part. There's nobody in this game that looks weird, or Valkyria Revolution has people who look weird. So yeah. So I guess really the big takeaways is I just think it's nice the smaller additions they did during the battle scenes. I think that it's cool that they were able to find a balance between the main story characters and the side characters. Valkyria Chronicles 2 does have a main story, and I think it's fine, but I don't think it feels as good as the Valkyria Chronicles 1 story. And I feel like this one the main story feels like on par with Valkyria Chronicles 1. The side stories I think doesn't feel as good in this game. There's very few of the side stories that really actually appeal to me. I think most of them feel more just kind of like filler, and I think more than anything, you just don't spend a lot of time with these characters on the side. where versus Valkyria Chronicles 2, where you do spend a lot of time with those characters, either in battle because they're grinding their relationship meters up, or because their missions are spread out across the game. It just feels a lot more significant versus this, where it's just kind of like, I guess I'll just kind of play this story and then we'll never talk to them again. So that's kind of the unfortunate side of it. But this is a great game. If you want to start with the Valkyria Chronicles series, if you've never played one, I think this is a great starting point. There are some, I haven't beat the game. There are some weird references to Valkyria Chronicles 1, but it's like, even as somebody who's played that game, I have no idea what they're trying to say other than just let's reference this character from the first game. And I guess we'll put it, I guess we have made that reference. That's about it. At least so far, that's been pretty much it. Oh yeah, I recognize them. So I think this is a good starting point, unless you really want to go through the entire series, because then obviously you're gonna run into some downgrades possibly. So maybe it's just great to start with Valkyria Chronicles 1. Valkyria Chronicles 1, still a really good game, I think. I haven't played it in a while, but I think fundamentally you're basically getting the same core mechanics as you're getting in this game. This game just has a little extra on top, and it brings in some of the improvements that came from Valkyria Chronicles 2. So it's a nice package. I haven't played Valkyria Chronicles 3, so if you're sitting here saying, "Oh, this stuff's in Valkyria Chronicles 3," I'm sorry, I have not played that yet. So I may not be the best source for Valkyria Chronicles 3 information here. Someday I would like to play through it, and then I'm sure you'll hear about it if I do. I think that's it. Oh, one more thing before I go. If you are a fan of Fire Emblem or something, just know that the character leveling is class-based, not character-based, which is also another nice thing about this game, because you just basically level up classes. So you don't have to sit there and grind out a single character. That's always a really nice thing to know. So maybe I shouldn't say if you're a fan of Fire Emblem, I should say if that bothers you with Fire Emblem or other strategy RPGs where they're very character-focused. So even though there's individual characters in this game, they all are just kind of one mesh of a class. There's also equipment upgrades. I just did the default ones, so it basically is hey, this is a power upgrade for every person in this class. But you can get more nitty gritty. You can equip very specific weapons on very specific characters to give them more of a identity and role in battle. I just kind of do the general roles that they're assigned via their class already. So, but yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Thanks for coming. I think these quick play streams might become just more quick play, me recording by myself, because I'm finding during a stream is maybe not a great time to sit there and try to talk through my thoughts sometimes, because somebody might be in the chat talking about something completely unrelated, and I'm like, I don't want to ignore them, but I'm also trying to do something here. So it probably just makes more sense to make this a VOD rather than actually sit there and stream it. So, and I think you'll probably see some more quick play streams here in the future. I know I've been saying in a lot of places, but I've got I got a good chunk of my collection back here. So I will probably go ahead and start trying to do some of those, but no more than one a week, I'm sure. So thanks for coming. Have a good week. Bye.